Proper, reliable authentication is hard. Like really, really, really hard. Coincidentally, this is also where all my side projects are usually getting stuck. Once I have a landing page, the login, and the registration in place, all of a sudden my idea is not that interesting anymore. All jokes aside, authentication is complicated enough to justify the creation of both industry protocols and entire companies or products with the sole purpose of taking the headaches of authentication out of your hands. If you are working with a backend as a service solution, such as Firebase or Supabase, you are in luck since authentication is part of their core offering. Dino is also jumping on this bandwagon, and authentication was one of the main services they announced on top of their KV data storage, so you should get the point. Authentication is hard, and most modern tools are more than happy to take it out of your hands. But what if you want to follow all the industry standards while avoiding any third-party provider or product? Enter Auth.js, an open-source, full-stack solution that supports more than 75 popular services, works with various databases and frameworks, and can be deployed in any type of infrastructure. Before looking at some examples, let's spend a minute reviewing some of the core concepts you'll run into when securing your apps. Auth.js uses signed, prefixed, server-only cookies. Cookies are key-value pairs used by websites to store state information in the browser, and they are a common solution to keep track of authenticated users. Of course, anything that runs in the browser is vulnerable to cross-site scripting attacks when attackers can inject malicious code directly into a trusted application. Using XSS, attackers can bypass security and poison your cookies. To prevent it, you should always use HTTP-only cookies to manage your sessions. Auth.js also comes packed with built-in cross-site request forgery protection. CSRFs are usually conducted through an email or link that tricks the victim into sending a forged request to a server. The user is authenticated at the time of the attack, and it is impossible to distinguish a legitimate request from a forged one. To prevent this, a secure random token is generated for each user session and is sent from the client to the server with each request. Finally, JSON Web Tokens are a standard allowing users to securely transfer information over the web. The token is composed of a header, a payload, and a signature. This is the norm when handling authentication data these days. Okay, let's look at email authentication next. Note that in Auth.js, the functionality provided for credentials-based authentication is intentionally limited to discourage the use of passwords due to the security risk associated with managing them. So we can use the magic links approach instead. This sends a verification token via email, and when the user clicks on it, an account is created and authentication is performed. For this to work, you'll need an SMTP provider, such as SendGrid, and the Node Mailer library. We'll store the verification tokens in Mongo via an adapter, and we'll tie everything together by exporting the next auth object. However, I find the OAuth scenario way more useful for modern apps. Let's start a new SvelteKit project, install the OAuth and SvelteKit dependencies. We can then register the SvelteKit auth as a server hook, and then pass a list of authentication providers with IDs and secrets stored in an environment variable. Behind the scenes, SvelteKit auth will create all the necessary API routes for us. On top of that, we can now call the getSession function anywhere on the server to retrieve details about the authenticated user. Then, in the start directory, I'm creating a page.svelte file where I'm adding the authentication button for the providers. Let's also redirect users when they are trying to access the login page while authenticated, and then jump into the home page to display the session data. That's it. Easy enough, right? Let me know in the comments if this is a solution you are considering using in the near future, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.